stakeholder update for Jan 2025. In this, I'll get into my learnings, podcast related events and other updates, goals for the month, and a list of things I need help with. So, the structure for this update is completely inspired from AK, and thanks for pushing me to start writing these stakeholder updates and just sharing what's been happening and what I need help with, and like kind of like an investor update, I guess, for people who are interested in following the journey. Now I'll get into some of my learnings. So this month I had a ton of learnings. I think the biggest learning I had was to create more than I consume, and also have a bias for action. The other thing I learned is to be shameless, but also to remember that, people will ignore you and you have to try every angle to make things happen for yourself. And the other thing I learned was to keep on pushing the limits of what society and others tell you is possible. Like, don't give up on your dreams because society tells you not to work on them, or society tells you that you can only get such and such guests. Like, keep on working hard and keep on persisting. Eventually, you'll materialize those dreams into reality. And in terms of the podcast and other side projects, so firstly, I chatted with Arjun Patak, who's a listener of the podcast, and we discussed around how he could kind of contribute to the podcast, and we also discussed like how he could contribute to the newsletters and a potential um, ebook or magazine or something that we're doing to kind of give new life to the deep dives on VC funds. So stay tuned for more details on that front. And the second thing is I chatted with Chandan Perla, who is an amazing person. He was ex Bluelearn and he's currently building Pod Circle, and he gave me good advices on what to do next and how to approach like the marketing aspect of the marketing aspect and in terms of job opportunities. Now, the next thing is I recorded a few virtual podcasts with some amazing, amazing guests. I recorded with Suhas of EVM Capital, Karna Shinde, and Raja Singh Barva. And these are all super fascinating folks with super interesting journeys. And yeah, these conversations were just amazing. And in terms of like who I got responses from, I got responses from like David Cohen, of Techstars, Ixigo press team, Zomato press team, and few other folks, and also got DMs from folks handling like Antlers Press, Antler India Press, and so nothing has materialized yet out of these conversations. So just early conversations with these folks. So yeah. And I've also booked some incredible guests for Feb and onwards. Like I might be hosting John Tay of Tinman Capital, Cyan Bannister of Long Journey Ventures. So these are just some potential people that might be coming on the podcast. Now I'll get into the events. So on Jan 26th, we're with the City Host support, we are hosting our first international meetup in Versova, Mumbai, which has gotten featured actually in Numa Mumbai, which drove the registrations to about 20 plus. And so now we're just focusing on funneling these folks who have registered into the actual WhatsApp group for those who are going to be able to make it. And we're hoping we'll get around 4 to 5 folks to show up out of the 20. And on the events front, I also got an amazing opportunity, and I have an MOU that I still have to decide on. So, more details to come when I finalize or when I take action on that. Now, the fifth thing I wanted to get into is I booked my flight tickets for Bali for the end of Jan to early Feb. And the crazy thing is, I barely know anybody in the ecosystem. So, I'm excited to immerse myself, and I've thus far been planning the whole trip around one event meetup. So, my plans and mindset, I'm going to be exploring the co-working scene in Kangoo, DMing folks who are already in the region, and checking out some of their investment clubs and their other platforms for getting events. So shout out to folks on X who've been really helpful to find out these amazing clubs and platforms. They've already been some listings of events. And now I wanted to get into uh so something really amazing happened like yesterday slash today morning, I got an email from a GP at Primary Ventures who gave an amazing, amazing guest suggestion for the business podcast. So stay tuned for Feb and March to see if that conversation or that thing materializes into an actual podcast. And then I wanted to get into the the future of the list. So we created this list to basically help folks get funded or hired who are over 20. And we have yet to figure out our content play here or how to get people to actually sign up for the platform. So we've not made much progress on this initiative. And I've actually started two new initiatives, and that is firstly, Startups in VC 2025, a WhatsApp group for people who are really serious about joining startup or VC fund as an employee, and we will start planning mentoring sessions for that in March of 2025. So I've reached out to a few folks already for this, and I need to figure out the launch and content play for this. And secondly, we're on a mission to host the best upcoming and amazing VC funds from all over the world and turning these deep dive conversations into physical or digital ebook, etc., magazine, whatever format it takes. And I've gotten a good amount of interest from folks to actually start taking this up and start working on how the format will look and other things. So I'll be getting into a call with Arjun, who is interested in collaborating, and we'll see how we can get something like this off the ground. And the 12th thing I wanted to get into is I actually attended NUS Unicorn Day and I met some folks from the Block 71 booth and some people who are trying out their ideas, building startups, and the works. So, my goals for the next month: be more consistent with these vlogs and documenting the journey type content, and start actively looking for roles in startups and VCs. So, basically, my approach for this is I'll just be emailing people at universities, VC funds here, and inquire about who's hiring at the moment. Now, these are some of my asks and the areas I need help with. So, I'm always on the lookout for amazing and upcoming VCs or startup founders from all over the world. So, you can DM me on X or LinkedIn or email at bizpodruhi@gmail.com if you have anyone in mind. Now, if you know someone, the second ask I have is if you know someone who has an office space or place where we can host in person podcasts in Singapore, feel free to DM, email, or whatever works for you. Thirdly, I'm looking for a total 500 to 2000 USD grant to start in no strings attached grants to support the vision, the mission, and the work of the podcast and to hire key people on the team. So at the moment, we're kind of capital constrained, and if interested in supporting the podcast through a grant or anything above, feel free to email or DM me. Any amount, big or small, can meaningfully change the trajectory of the podcast. And lastly, if anyone knows any non Web3 related folks in startups and VC in Bali around Kangoo and Ubud, would greatly appreciate an intro or a connect to someone there. So as I'll be visiting from Jan end to about early Feb. So that's it for today's vlog and hope you learned something new.